Welcome back. Welcome back to Fixing My Faith. This is your first time. My name is Vern, and it is November 18th. This is the last reading we'll be doing on the Elders book. So we've been reading the Elders book front to back. It has 30 chapters. We're doing the last 2 chapters tonight. Now, if you want to get the rest of the playlist to this, just go to our channel and you'll see the playlist for the 2024 Elders book. Now, one of the things I like to point out before I get going is right at the beginning of this Elders book, how elders work together as a body. Number one, they seek to understand and apply the Bible and the principles. So that's what you do. You seek to understand the Bible and obey the principles. But number two, you obey direction from the faithful, discreet slave. And also from the overseers, like, people at the branch office, circuit overseers. You obey them. It's not that you obey the Bible. Like, I think it should be obey and understand the Bible laws and principles. Obey the Bible. This should be about the Bible. But they want you to seek the Bible, but they want you to obey direction from the faithful, discreet slave. You see, folks, this is why we know we're dealing with a cult. A cult is a follower of men. When you're told to obey direction from men, you are what? Well, you are enslaved, or you're an idol worshiper. You're worshiping these men to the point that you'll die. They tell you got to die in a blood transfusion. So if you don't obey, they're going to kick you out. There's rules. It's all in the book here. We read it. So this is why we know, folks, I like to show you that right at the beginning. We're going to get into this chapter 29, legal matters. And we're going to take a look at the legal matters. Now, as we look down the legal matters, there's personal legal advice, there's undocumented alien social events, child custody, charitable donations, so on and so forth. Let's take a look at one of their videos on how they talk to their people about legalities, what's happening here. So let's take a look at this video.
Of the governing body and the United States Branch Committee, the legal department works to protect our legal rights to worship. When restrictions are placed on our activities, we work to defend and legally establish the good news.
Watchtower in this case.
Let's examine a case that was taken all the way to the United States Supreme Court. The town of Stratton, Ohio, passed an ordinance requiring anyone wanting to engage in door-to-door activity to obtain a permit from the mayor.
The ordinances that were enacted were specifically designed to restrict the activity of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Now, if we go back there, this guy's Philip Brumley. This is an old video. They're going back and looking at some old case law. But anyways, Philip Brumley is their main lawyer. And in the Montana court case, he was charged something like, what was it? Okay, so here we are in 2023. Philip Brumley was fined for filing 2 documents that the judge declared deceptive to cover what was called excessive legal fees for the plaintiff's lawyers. The decision was appealed. The sexual abuse case was initially lost, but unanimously reversed by the Montana Supreme Court. And the Jehovah's Witnesses ended up paying them out, settling out of court. So Philip Brumley, he was the lawyer. He was charged over $150,000 for lying in court. He did appeal it. He lost the appeal. We don't hear much of Philip Brumley anymore, but he's all over the internet for lying in court. Now, before we get back into this, we're going to play the rest of this video. It's only 2 minutes. The Jehovah's Witnesses are famous for fighting all over the world for the right to preach. Now, what I think is ironic here is I was denied the right to preach as a regular pioneer within this religion. That's why I left the religion. And how was I denied the right to preach? I established work up in the high Arctic, fly-in territory. I had jobs up there. So we did the unassigned territory. I was a regular pioneer. Did this for a number of years. And then all of a sudden, I had some family problems. You know, the kids are getting older. They decided they didn't want to, one of the kids did decide they didn't want to be a Jehovah's Witness. And all hell breaks loose. I lose all my privileges at the Kingdom Hall. And so you lose, I was on literature counter, territories, and things like that. So you lose all your privileges. And then they have the balls to say you can't preach up in the northern territories when you go up to do your work. Yeah, you can't preach up there. And I says, really? I said, aren't these unassigned? Don't they need people to preach up there? And they said, well, that's a privilege to preach in those unassigned territories. I said, really? So, yeah, that was their ruling. They denied me the right to preach. What I think is ironic here is these turkeys are going after everyone for their right to preach. So within their religion, they will deny you the right to preach, but yet they're suing the asses off everyone for their right to preach. We're going to watch the rest of this hypocritical video. Just bear with me.
Jehovah's Witnesses.
The witnesses tried to work the matter out with the municipality, with the village, but the village was insistent our brothers and sisters obtain permits prior to going from door to door.
This permit scheme was upheld in the lower courts in Ohio. Thus, the case was appealed to the United States Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled in our favor and held that such ordinances are unconstitutional as applied to the public ministry of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Even now, we still have some municipalities that would like to enforce their permit regulation against our brothers and sisters. We turn their attention to the Stratton decision, and the issue is resolved.
Since 1919, Jehovah's Witnesses have obtained 50 victories before the United States Supreme Court. Just as extraordinary, we have prevailed in the European Court of Human Rights over 50 times.
And everyone knows that they just lost in the European Court of Human Rights. They lost with the blood card. They lost the blood case, and this has been a big issue all over the earth. They finally, the European courts said, you might as well throw your blood cards out, because if you come in unconscious with the blood card and you need blood, we're giving you blood. And that's the law. So they can't go any higher than that. That went through 3 or 4 court systems in Denmark to get up to the European Court. But Jehovah's Witnesses are losing. This is an old video. And they were winning. Now they're losing. Norway's another case are losing.
Jehovah's Witnesses do not seek confrontation. They prefer to quietly serve
Brumley again.
God.
This is the guy charged for $150,000
events unfold that force them
for
to
lying in
stand
court.
up
Montana
and say,
court
I
system.
won't do this, or I have to do that, because my faith compels me to do so. It is remarkable to see the steel-like determination of these individuals who have looked in the eyes of judges, magistrates, police
Brumley
officers,
again, the
and
liar.
have simply said, I have to
I like
obey
calling
God.
him a liar because he appealed it and he lost his appeal for lying. So that's kind of the end of that for the video. We're going to close that down, and we're going to go right into the Elders book. And we're going to look at legalities, how they're pitching legal matters. Okay, so chapter 29, legal matters. We're going to get right into it. Number 1, in harmony with Matthew 20, what do they have? Matthew 22, 21, 37. Romans 13 and 1. Romans 13 and 1, I know, is governments. Obey the governments. So Philippians, there's a lot of scriptures that say obey the governments. So that's what this is saying. So in harmony with these scriptures, obey the governments. The congregation, it says, respects the relative authority of secular government. You see, they always use that word, relative authority. The scriptures don't use that word, relative authority. It doesn't say that at all in the scriptures. And if you want to look at the scriptures, we're going to look at it right now. Okay, here we are in the Jehovah's Witness Bible, Romans 13:1, and it says, "Let every person be in subjection to the superior authorities." It doesn't say anything about relative subjection. There's no relative. There's no iffy about it. It says here, "For there is no authority except by God." That's what it says. And it says that the existing authorities stand placed in their relative positions by God. Let's go on. It says, "Therefore, whoever opposes the authority has taken a stand against the arrangement of God." Nothing about being relative. It says, "Whoever opposes it." Those who have taken a stand against it will bring judgment against themselves. For those rulers are an object of fear, not to good deed, but to the bad. Do you want to be free of fear of authority? Well, keep doing good, and you'll have praise from it. For it is God's minister, the governments, to you for your good. But if you are doing what is bad, well, be in fear, for it is not without purpose that it bears a sword. It is God's minister, an avenger, to express wrath against the one practicing what is bad. You see, if you're covering up child sexual abuse in this organization, you're up against God. That's a crime. That's bad. If you're doing what is bad, covering CSA up. Even if Philip Brumley wants to lie in court and call it theocratic warfare so he can lie, he's charged for lying. That is bad. One of the 7 most detestable things to Jehovah is lying. And that's what blows me away. If that doesn't wake people up in this organization, I don't know what does. But these scriptures are clear. There's no relative position. Nothing. It even goes on. There's a compelling reason for you to be in subjection, not on the account of the wrath, but also on your conscience. That is why you're also paying taxes for God's public servants, constantly serving this very purpose. It says, "Render to all their dues, to the one who calls for tax, a tax, to the one who calls for tribute, the tribute, to the one who calls for fear, fear, to the one who calls for honor, such honor," even honoring the governments, right? So those are the 7 verses that JW Org is quoting in their elders book. So let's get back to their elders book. That's math. That's Romans. We just read it. Romans chapter 13, 1-7. We read it all. There's nothing in there about relative. And this is a word they sling around. They twist the scriptures. The congregation respects the relative authority of secular governments. You see, relative authority. Well, if the government's, I don't know of any government on earth that's going to tell you to go kill your neighbors or not to do good around the country. Every government wants the people to be good neighbors, be good people. So this whole relative thing, well, I don't know. They put that in. To ensure compliance with applicable laws, 2 elders, if possible, should call the legal department immediately in the following situations. Number 1, the elders receive a request or an order to disclose confidential information, such as a request from an individual, the authorities, or an attorney. So anytime a lawyer is involved, they're going to get a hold of their legal department. Number 2, is it the legal department? Yeah, they should call the legal department immediately if there's any legal thing going on, if they're getting sued or anything. Now, number 2, the elders learn of an accusation of CSA, child abuse of the elderly, or abuse of disabled. See chapter 14. They got to call legal department there again. Number 3, the elders learn of a threatened or actual legal action against the organization, local congregation, or an elder in connection with the matter. So these are all areas they should call the legal department, right? That's what they do immediately. Don't wait. Call them really quick. Okay, a manager insists that no further visits may be made by Jehovah's Witnesses to a subdivision or an apartment complex. A government official seeks to impose some restriction on our ministry, or violent opposition to our ministry arises. So you see, they want like a manager of an apartment building saying, "Hey, you guys can't call on people in this apartment building." They want to know about that so they can challenge it legally. They're saying that, a subdivision or an apartment. You see, they go to a court and they fight for the right to preach. Now they're going to push that right and get into that apartment and make that apartment caretaker allow them in. That's what this organization's going to do. It's in their book here. And they like going to court. They like lawsuits. They love it. Number 5, publisher. You see, what you have to do, if you're running an apartment building, you have to charge them for harassment. Charge them for harassment, put a charge against them. They can get it thrown out of court. Put a charge against him and put on their do not call. You get a petition. You get everyone in that building to sign a petition. I do not want Jehovah's Witnesses to call on me, and you send that to the local congregation, and they're done. Everyone's a do not call. That's how you deal with JWs in apartments, folks. Okay, number 5, a publisher, while in the ministry or in any other theocratic activity, was involved in an incident resulting in a serious bodily injury or death. If an elder is contacted by anyone who requests a statement, he should not discuss the incident or publishers involved. You see, they got to keep everything quiet. So please come over. Someone died on the property. Elders aren't going to give anything. They're gonna plead quiet, plead that they don't know anything. They're going to lie, basically. This is a statement of lying. Cop says, I want you to, it's impeding justice. It's stopping justice, it's stopping them in their investigation. And that's what these guys do. And then they have lawyers right away get involved. You see, because if someone died on their property and it's their fault, they don't want any of that going on. They want to go to court and pretend it's not their fault because they want to get out of the lawsuit. They're self-insured and everything costs them money. They'll lie in court. That's what Brumley does. So that's what they do here. If an elder is contacted by anyone who requests a statement, like the police, he shouldn't discuss it. Nope. He shouldn't answer any questions. Nope. Rather, the caller's name, telephone number, title, blah, 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 should be obtained, and contact an attorney before responding to any questions. Okay, number 6, officials or community organizations request the use of a kingdom hall. Got to call the legal department. If anybody's going to use a kingdom hall. Let's say there's a natural disaster. The government says, "Hey, we need your building. We're gonna use your building for relief work, distribute stuff." Can't do it. Got to call the legal department. Okay, next, personal legal advice. Number 2. As spiritual shepherds, elders do not involve themselves in the legal matters of individuals. Bullshit. And I'll tell you why, and I'm saying that clearly, because I was involved with civil matters where I should have sued the asses off these JWs, Jehovah's Witnesses, but I always had to go through the elders. And the elders are saying, no, you can't sue your brother, and blah, blah, blah. Do you have any witnesses? Oh, yeah, I had all kinds of witnesses. I had engineers, I had people. And they said, no, they're not Jehovah's Witnesses. It's all thrown out of the JW court. I was up against 2 elders who were running a business, and they were slick, sly fire alarm guys, and they were the crookedest guys around. So anyways, this is what we deal with. They allow crooked people to keep operating because they're elders. And rich elders. One of the elders, guy owns a whole shopping mall. He's rich. And he is a crooked elder. Anyways, don't get me going on this. Personal legal advice. These shepherds, they involve themselves in the legal stuff. So this is BS. It says in their role as an elder, they should not offer legal advice or encourage publishers to contact the legal department for legal advice on personal legal questions. For example, if a publisher asks about a restraining order or an order of protection, the elders should politely tell him that this is a personal legal matter that does not involve the congregations. Elders should not try to enforce such orders between private parties. Again, BS. So they can say they shouldn't do this, but they did do this. Now, maybe 2024, they're not doing it. But I'll tell you, when I was in there, they were doing it. Maybe they had to put this in their book because there was too much of it going on. But these guys you can't take a brother to court. So you have to meet between these three elders, 2 elders. They do an investigation committee. And if you don't have really good witnesses that are all Jehovah's Witnesses, you're wasting your time. These guys could be just screwing people out of money left and right. So anyways, let's move on. Undocumented aliens. Number 3, oh, and by the way, if you're from the Watchtower and you want to know the facts on any of this stuff, contact me. I'll give you all the facts. But will I? Will I give you all the facts, or will I withhold it? Why should I give you all the facts? Maybe you should be sued, Watchtower, sued for your misconduct. All over the earth, you should be sued for your misconduct. And I think that's coming for the Watchtower. They're not winning anymore in court. They're not winning. Okay, undocumented aliens. Elders take a keen interest in the spiritual, emotional, and physical needs of fellow believers. Turn my volume down a bit. It might be a little loud. Okay, so elders take a keen interest in the emotional needs of others, foreign residents who asked about meetings, legal requirements for residency. It should be encouraged, but it's not necessary. And they won't tell anybody. It's all kept quiet if you're an illegal alien. Don't worry. Now, number 4, a foreigner may wish to obtain qualified legal assistance for such personal legal matters. It is not a responsibility of the congregation elders to research this. So they're not going to do much for you. They're not telling the elders to do anything for you if you're coming from another country. Number 5, all Christians are obligated to obey the laws of the land in which they live. So that's what they're saying, Romans 13:1. For this reason, an undocumented alien, and this is a person from another country coming to a country, and they're not documented, right? So they're saying an undocumented alien would not qualify for appointment as an elder or a servant. So let's say I went to Mexico, went on holidays. Maybe I'm a need grader. I'm going to go down there for 6 months. You can do 6 months. I can't be an elder or a ministerial servant because I'm a legal alien. Well, I'm a legal alien on a visa, 6-month visa, but I can't live there. You can't really work as a ministerial servant. Well, if you're illegal, you can't for sure. If you go as a need grader, they might let you work as an elder as long as you get a letter. You have to get a letter from your home congregation sent to where you're need grading to make that all work. Okay, he may not be assigned, but if you're an illegal alien, you can't be assigned to any responsibilities. Additionally, although he may assist with the cleaning, you see, here's what they want you to do. They want slave labor. They don't want to throw you out the door, so here's what they want. Additionally, although he may assist with the cleaning and the construction of his own kingdom hall, with the cleaning of his own assembly hall, but he may not work with the construction or maintenance or other kingdom halls or assembly halls. So they'll use you, if you're a legal alien, to do all kinds of work locally. Okay? There's a use for you. However, he may comment. They'll let you comment at the congregation meetings. Yeah, you can comment and present student parts. You can present student parts. Okay, that's cool. So they're giving you some privileges. And if you're exemplary in every other way, he may be granted certain additional privileges, just as Paul used a certain one to do. For example, you might be able to pass microphones and help with literature. And he also may be granted the use of the kingdom hall for a wedding if you meet scriptural and civil marriage requirements. So there you go. Illegal aliens, there's your rulings. Number 6, when an undocumented alien, now these are not UFOs aliens, these are aliens to the country, right? I don't know why they use that word, I don't like it. But when an undocumented alien requests in good faith or obtains permission from the proper governmental authority to reside in the country, his situation changes because he is thereby demonstrating more fully his subjection to the superior authorities, Romans 13 and verse 1. And once the publisher has sought permission to be in the country, he is no longer viewed as a fugitive. A fugitive. A fugitive is on the run. Well, you're no longer a fugitive, and thereafter may enjoy the privileges of service, even if Caesar takes an extended period of time to process the application. So thus, if he is otherwise spiritually qualified and if employed, you got to be employed. See, if you're working, you can donate, right? They like you to be employed. So it's right in their elders book, by the way. They want to make sure you're employed. They don't want liabilities. They want money. So if you're qualified, you're employed, and you're working without resorting to fraudulent means, so you're not working for cash under the table. In other words, you're paying taxes. You might serve as an elder, a ministerial servant, or a regular auxiliary pioneer. And when recommendations are submitted for such ones to be appointed to serve as an elder or ministerial servant, their situation should be fully explained to the CO, circuit overseer. Okay, we're going to move forward. Number 7. If a publisher makes a request for residency but is later denied and remains in the country illegally, he'd no longer qualify to serve as an elder and a ministerial servant or regular or auxiliary pioneer. So if you make a request to live in the country and you're denied, you can't serve because you become illegal, an illegal alien. It is also not honest for the publisher to use falsified documents of any kind or to submit what he knows to be inaccurate information when applying to a government agency for certain status or privilege. And if the government becomes aware of this, the individual may face some sort of sanction on a charge of fraud, and the congregation could come into disrepute. And in such cases, further action on the part of the congregation may be necessary. And before proceeding, elders should send a letter to the service department for direction. However, if one applied for obtained legal status through such means before coming to an accurate knowledge of the scriptural principles, well, the elders would not make this an issue. You see, folks, JWs are out door to door, and they're calling on everyone. So there's illegal aliens that are living in the country. They're calling on them, studying with them. Maybe they want to learn the language. In this case, in the US or Canada, they might want to learn English. They might be from another country. So this happens all the time. They don't want to throw them out the door, so they want to just make sure they're honest and things like that. And they'll help them to do that. Now, next is social events. Number 8. Where are we? Yeah, we're doing good. Social events. So the congregation does not organize or sponsor social events. The Kingdom Hall should not be used for such. So if you want to have a party or just have a dance on a Friday, you have to go to a community hall. You can't use the Kingdom Hall. It's not like the Mormons. They use their churches and stuff. They use them all week for all kinds of stuff. They even have gyms on a lot of churches, you see, but not Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not about that in their religion. Okay, so individuals who host social events bear personal responsibility for what occurs at the event, and such individuals should not state or imply that they are acting on behalf of the congregation. They should not use terms as a congregation picnic or a congregation gathering. You see, folks, this is legal implications. So as soon as you call it a congregation gathering or picnic, well, legally, if someone gets hurt, breaks a leg, the congregation is responsible for the liability. So that's why they don't want you doing that. It has to be personal. So you assume personally the liability. So it's Vern's picnic or Vern's gathering. Hey, we're going over to Vern's gathering, Vern's place. He's liable. He's got liability insurance on his house. Just break your leg on his step and you'll be okay. But you see, on the Kingdom Hall, you break your leg on their step, they're self-insured. You're going to go through court. It'll be a long time before you get a dime out of those guys. And they fight it and fight it and fight it, even if you're a member. And we've read lots of our news articles where that's happening. Right now, there's some court cases going on. So anyways, thus, invitations should not be posted on the information board, nor should announcements regarding Vern's social event. You can't get on the platform. So I could tie it in with the talk. Let's say I'm up at the platform, I'm giving a talk and finish the talk, and I say, hey, by the way, I got a party at my place tonight. Everyone's welcome. That'd be the last talk I'd ever give. The 2 elders would pull me into a room and, yeah, you're done. So that's kind of how it is. They have rules and they follow the rules. They like rules. So child custody. They love this one. Now, if a publisher becomes involved in a lawsuit over child custody, this is what happens. So if you're involved with child custody, listen carefully. Okay, so we're going to move into child custody. So, if a publisher becomes involved in a lawsuit over child custody and visitation matters, two elders should contact the legal department if the answer to all of the following questions are a yes to all of them. So they're going to ask them, number one, is it evident that the publisher's religious beliefs will be at issues? The publisher's religious beliefs. Maybe. Number two, has someone been served with papers to appear in court? Probably. Number three, is the litigation between the two biological parents? Yes. Number four, is the publisher in good standing in the congregation? Probably. One of them probably is. One of them probably left the religion. And there's custody over the children. So that's usually what happens. Now, the Watchtower will be involved, and they will help fight for child custody. This is how it works. So you have a big fight if you're trying to get the children. But I think it's easier nowadays with the blood transfusion thing. You can fight that. You can fight the lots of issues. The shunning thing. You can fight that. Lots of fights if you like fighting. Okay, we're going to move forward. Charitable donation programs. Some charitable donation programs may be acceptable to a Christian. The following are brief descriptions and comments about their use. Okay, matching donation programs. In these programs, a company agrees to increase or match an individual's donation to a charitable organization. The company is simply making an additional voluntary contribution. Since a donation does not require the congregation's active participation, designating a charitable organization in a matching donation program is a personal decision. Publishers should not initiate such an arrangement with the company, but may take advantage of an established program. I've never heard of that, but I guess it's in the Elders book. Matching donations. Okay, number 12. Volunteer service donation programs. In these programs, a donor agrees to make a donation to a charitable organization for which an individual performs a required amount of volunteer service. Publishers should not designate the branch office or a congregation to receive donations as a charitable organization for which they do volunteer service, and congregations should not participate in such programs. All publishers perform their ministry motivated by their dedication to Jehovah and their personal obedience to Jesus Christ's command, not on behalf of the congregation or any other organization. This is the case whether the publisher expends time working on construction projects, in relief work, or any other activity that advances kingdom interests. Okay, we're going to move forward. Number 13, fundraising programs. In these programs, a donor offers to donate to a designated charitable organization based upon an individual's commercial activity with the donor. And for example, a grocery store may agree to donate a percentage of the individual's purchases from that store. Frequently, these programs require the designated charitable organization to participate actively, such as by encouraging individuals to do business with the donor. The congregation, however, should not promote any type of commercial activity or solicit funds. Thus, publishers should not designate the branch office or a congregation to receive donations from a fundraising program, and congregations should not participate in this type of program. So basically, if you're going to the grocery store and there's a basket at the end and you're going to donate, buy a few cans of beans or something and throw it in there for the food bank, they're kind of telling you not to do that. These grocery store programs. I don't know if that's what this is. A grocery store, a fundraising program. That's what it is at the grocery store. They're fundraising for the food bank. And it's everything that you put in that basket actually goes down to the food bank, 100% of it. In Canada here, that's what they do. So according to number 13, the elders would discourage publishers from having a part in contributing to the food bank. Now, if you remember, if you go back a few videos on what they do in disaster relief, that was the exciting video, but they are sending their people in a disaster to the local food banks. But here, you cannot be involved. They're telling you not to get involved in that kind of stuff. These grocery store programs, fundraising for the food bank. But yet they'll send you to the food bank on a disaster. Or you can go to the Catholic Church, the Mormon Church, as long as they're kind of working with the government. You're allowed to use their relief, their soup kitchens in a disaster. Elders will tell the people to do that. We covered that a few lessons ago, folks, but I'm just thinking about that here. Fundraising. You can't donate to the food bank, but yet they'll send you to the food bank in a disaster. Pretty hypocritical. That's what I would think. Okay, we're going to move forward. Oh, that was the end finally. Chapter 29. So you notice they're really involved in any kind of donation programs, volunteer programs, matching donation programs, charitable. They want all the money going to them. That's what the elders are going to say. Why don't you send it all to the worldwide work? Why are you getting involved? You know? So anyways, they have it in their elders book because they want to be looking like, they're not holding people back from, but they really are. They really are holding people back from fundraising and helping the community. Right here. Don't get involved in the grocery store to donate your purchases from the store to the food bank or something. Okay, number 30, public information. This is a quick one. The Public Information Department, they call it the PID, officially, represents Jehovah's Witnesses to government officials, academics, the media, and other entities. The PID's responsibility is to assist in providing accurate information about our beliefs. Let's just step back there a bit. The PID's responsibility is to assist in providing accurate information? You see, I bet you if I look at the PID book, it's about twisting the information to make them look good. Okay, I know that for a fact because they will brush over topics, they won't answer questions, they will evade all kind. They won't even speak a lot of times. But accurate information, okay, well, that's what they're telling their elders, right? Because one department may not know what the other department is. The elders believe they're doing accurate stuff, but you and I know from the outside, these guys are really professionals at sleight of hand, twisting things a bit. Okay, in addition, regional and local spokesmen have been appointed throughout the branch territory and work under the direction of the PID, Public Information Department. Now, number 2, if a media representative contacts a congregation to request an interview or comments, the elder should request his name, his contact information, the name of the media outlet he represents, and the deadline for a reply, and inform him that his request will be given consideration. Careful consideration. What if it's the Guardian? What if it's the Extra Bulledet in Denmark? They're suing them. They sue a lot of media, right? JW.org. So they like to scare the media away if they can. Now, the elders should not commit to providing a response. In most cases, 2 elders should then immediately contact the PID department, which will provide further direction. The same general approach should be taken if the government officials, academic institutions, or non-governmental organizations contact the congregation to obtain information. So, of course, you're going to want your trained professionals at the PID department, the ones that know sleight of hand with their words. They know how to soften things, make the organization look the best they can in any situation. These guys are professionals. They're going to want, every big organization has a PID department. Number 3, if any of the above entities contact the congregation about a matter related to a current or past judicial case, to the standing of a publisher in the congregation or to the congregation's handling of theocratic matters, two elders should immediately contact the service department for direction. So if any of the above entities, so that would be like government officials, academic institutions, non-governmental organizations, if they're looking for information about the local congregation, they will contact the service department. Number 4, at times publishers may be approached by a member of the media or an academic requesting a personal interview in connection with activities or beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses. Kind of like what there's a lot of, I shouldn't say there's a lot, but there's some ex-Jehovah's Witnesses involved in doing surveys. They like to go up to the carts and do surveys, record them, and get their permission and stuff. And some of them do a really good job. Well, let's see what the Elders book says about that kind of thing. Can a person standing doing cart witnessing, can they say, okay, yeah, I'm okay with this, and they put it on YouTube? Well, here's what it says. At times, publishers may be approached by a member of the media or an academic requesting a personal interview in connection with the activities or beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, it is a publisher's decision, so the publisher can decide whether to accept or refuse. My voice squeaked. Whether to accept or refuse. If the elders learn that the publisher has agreed to such an interview, they should promptly inform the service department. Holy crap, you're in trouble. If you take one of those, they're telling on you. They're going all the way to the Bethel, the service department in your country. You're logged. You're in the system now. You got some points against you. Let's see what's going to happen. It says it would not be appropriate for any individual to speak on behalf of the organization unless assigned to do so by the branch office. So you see, how you'd have to do that is you'd say, based on my personal experience, I'm not speaking on, and you'd say right off the bat, I'm not speaking on behalf of JW.org, I'm not speaking on behalf of Jehovah's Witnesses, I'm not speaking on behalf of the congregation, the local congregation that I attend. I am talking to you about my personal experience. That's why this channel is called Fixing My Faith. This is my personal experience in fixing my faith. I had to get to know every word in this Elder's book to know what had happened as I dissect the last 30 years, 40 years of my brain being into the Jehovah's Witness. I spent 30 years in, and my brain was still in it for 10 years. And now I'm dissecting it. And the Elder's book is helping me to do that. So that's part of fixing my faith, you see. I'm not speaking on behalf of the branch. I'm just speaking on behalf of me and my personal journey, my experience through this religion. And you can do the same. It's how you spell out your words, really. And we don't want to speak on behalf of JW.org. Us apostates, we step over the line a lot, but it's kind of our job. But anyways, for you guys, a common person, you're just trying to deal with this organization, muddle your way through a few things. If you're approached by someone on the street and you want to talk about things, it's your personal experience and just qualify it. I'm not speaking on behalf of JW.org or anybody else. Make sure, and you tell the guy, make sure that's in your video. They'll put it in there. People are pretty good about that. But I think if they get wind of you doing this, they're going to call on you. They're going to tell on you. They're going to call the service department. But you haven't done anything wrong. You haven't spoken on behalf of them. So anyways, that's the end of the Elders book, folks. We should give it all a big hand. You're clapping. It's the end. Finally, the end. We're just looking at a few appendixes. Oh yeah, I have a little bit of time left. They have a big appendix list, work performed at Kingdom Halls type of work. Should the congregation contact the LDC, that's local, what is that? The build, it's like the RBC. They're the ones that do the building. Who provides the funding? Who coordinates the work? I didn't know the congregation provides the funding. Really? For what? Work performed. I thought the organization took over. I guess the congregation is still providing the funding, and that's like so. So here you go, folks. The Watchtower did a hostile takeover. They took over all the kingdom halls. They own them all. They didn't before. That was quite recent. And they're making the congregation look after them. Interesting. Okay, so here it is, work that includes tasks, inspections, adjusting, servicing, cleaning existing building elements, equipment checking operation, equipment fixtures, consumable parts, examples, replacing air conditioning filters, cleaning ventilation grills, lights, plumbing, blah, blah, blah. Basic stuff, eh? Okay, so that's congregation's responsibility. Should they contact Bethel? No. You guys look after it, congregation. So the next one is repair. Work that's required to restore an existing building. Uh, they're saying you gotta only if the Bethel's the LDC is only going to pay for this only if the work will cost more than the target balance or will involve high risk work other than the use of basic power tools. So they want the congregation of the branch office to pay for all this. So yeah, interesting. Okay, well let's go to the next one and see what it says. Okay, we're just going to go over this, and I think it's important to understand when JW.org did the hostile takeover and took over all the buildings, it doesn't mean that they took over the work that needs to be done to the buildings. So let's take a look at this. For instance, work that involves making any alteration to the design of the building, performing end-of-life replacement of a building element, or of building finishes, or installing new minor equipment. And examples are replacing or installing carpeting, roofing, shingles, tiles, membrane, chairs, benches, air conditioning systems, building finishes, fences, parking lot surfaces, or video systems. So you would contact the LDC, the local design committee. Should the congregation, that's what they should do first. Who provides the funding? The branch office. And who coordinates the work? The congregation or the LDC. So the rank and file, they get the work out of them, and when it's something major, the branch will fess up with the money. Major renovations, work that is required to convert a facility that is not currently considered suitable into one that is suitable, may include end-of-life replacements for multiple building elements and any work that involve changing, expanding, or modifying the purpose, use, or design intent of the facility. An example is replacement of all or most of the building's finishes or entire roof structures, trusses, or moving interior exterior walls. So you have to contact the LDC, the branch office pays for it. And in this case, the LDC has the money to pay for it. That's what it says. Who coordinates the work? Who provides the funding? Branch office. Major events. New construction, who provides it? Branch office, LDC. So, but they're going to get the LDC is going to get the local people to do the work. And who's the LDC? Contact them. The maintenance trainer, field representative. That's who they are. Okay, so the next appendix is pre-groups, groups, and congregations. We're going to zip through this quite quickly. Pre-groups. This is when they're trying to get new groups going, and they want to determine if there's a language community has a significant interest in learning the truth and potential to become a group. So that's how they start it. Let's say you're in an English-speaking country here in Canada. In Edmonton, for instance, there's many groups. There's a lot of East Indian languages, different groups. They meet like little book studies, and this is what this is all about. And eventually, their whole hope is to get enough people to turn it into a congregation. And they kind of examine the territory. They say if a significant population, perhaps at least a few thousand individuals, dependent on a certain language, then it's worth looking into. So let's say there's 1,000 individuals that speak Vietnamese, and that's all they speak. well, then they'll look into setting a group up and they examine the territory. So, Bible student publishers, you just talk about these groups have to actually be attached to a local congregation. So, it talks about that. They have to appoint elders that are willing to take the lead in these little groups. And that's an area there I know where if you know another language, you can become an elder really quick. I know of a few examples. Meetings, they do not hold weekly meetings. Test meetings should be held from time to time. They should hold at least one weekly meeting or weekly meeting, such as a Watchtower study. And then they should hold all weekly meetings without depending on JW Stream. So they don't want people using JW Stream. Yeah, literary class, language class, meeting locations, kingdom halls, preferably in the auxiliary room at the same time as the host congregation meets. So you'd be in a back room somewhere doing your little meeting, and you'd come out and visit with everyone. Literature, some literature from the teaching box available, some literature is available, and that's it. Then we get into the index. So that's the end of the Elders book. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. The 2024 Shepherding the Flock Elders book. So this is Shepherding the Flock, the Elders book. For any of you out there that know this, and it's the April 2024 edition. So this is the completion of it, and I guess maybe next year they'll come up with a new one. Maybe it'll be thinner. Maybe it'll have love in it more times. We don't know. But they do have a lot of work to do. They're making a lot of changes, this organization. So it's hard to say if some of the stuff in this elders book is actually obsolete. You see, because they get letters, elders letters, and their updates. There's actually updates to these elders books as well. So we'll see what's happening. Come 2025, they'll probably come up with an update to the elders book if they have some new rules. Like the beards are okay and stuff like that. So mind you, beards weren't in this elders book. It wasn't a problem in this one. Okay, folks. Well, we're going to bring a conclusion, a close to everything, and thanks for sticking with us. If you've been following through on the elders book readings all along, if you want to know where we keep all the playlist, it's a playlist on our main YouTube site, Fixing My Faith, and it's called the Elders Book, 2024 Elders Book. And you'll see all the elders. There's about 20 some videos, 25 videos or so. And it's all chaptered, so if you want to go to a certain chapter and see what it's about, you'll see that right on the thumbnail. Okay, folks, well, like we say, keep living your life with love, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.